Sri Lanka may seem like just another exotic destination on the map, but take a closer look and you'll see that this island has much more to offer than beautiful beaches and tropical landscapes. Hidden in South Asia, surrounded by the Indian Ocean, the country has one of the oldest and most complex cultures on the continent. And yes, it remains one of the least understood places in the world. The name itself says a lot. Sri Lanka, which means glorious island in Sinhalese, is called by many the Pearl of the Indian Ocean. And it's not just because of its appearance. The combination of spirituality, ancient traditions, unique biodiversity, and a history full of twists and turns makes this place a true cultural puzzle. That's exactly why, today, Belo Mundo is going to take you inside this fascinating country, full of beauty and surprises, and reveal some curiosities that will leave you speechless. Number 1. Location and geographical data. In South Asia, just below India, lies an island that many people know by name, but few truly understand: Sri Lanka. Separated from the Indian subcontinent by a narrow stretch of sea, the Palk Strait, the country has a territory of about 65,000 square kilometers, small on the map, but huge in diversity. The climate is tropical, with monsoon seasons that bring heavy rains at different times of the year. From May to September, the western and southern parts of the country are almost flooded with water. Then, from October to January, it is the East's turn to face the storms, and in between there are the hot and dry summers. The landscape also varies greatly. There are mountains, forests, lagoons, reefs, and a coastline with coconut trees as far as the eye can see. The highest point on the island is Piduru Talagala at 2,524 meters, surrounded by a breathtaking green carpet. The country even has a curious system of two capitals. Colombo is the commercial capital and largest city, but the parliament operates in the historic Sri Jayawardenepura Kotte. In other words, sometimes Colombo and Kotte compete for the spotlight in the news. Either way, this little giant in South Asia never goes unnoticed. Now that we know where this tropical gem is located, let's travel back in time and discover the history of this island. Number 2. History. Before becoming a route for European empires, Sri Lanka already had a long history. Ancient kingdoms such as Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa emerged centuries before Christ, with temples carved in stone, giant water tanks, and their own writing system, inspired by Indian tradition. It was also during this period that Theravada Buddhism arrived on the island, around the 3rd century BC, brought by the monk Mahinda, son of the Indian Emperor Ashoka. Since then, religion has become a central part of the country's identity. For a long time, Sri Lanka prospered as a strategic trading point between India, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. But wealth always attracts greed, and the Europeans soon appeared. The first were the Portuguese in 1505 in search of valuable cinnamon. They took part of the coast and left their mark with forts, churches, and the presence of Catholicism. In the following century, they were expelled by the Dutch, who took over the ports and expanded the cultivation of coffee and tea. But it was at the end of the 18th century that the British arrived for good, and in 1815 they dominated the entire territory, taking the last independent stronghold, the Kingdom of Kandy. Under British rule, the country was renamed Ceylon and became a world leader in tea production. Plantations of Ceylon tea spread across the island, along with railroads, schools, and profound social changes. Independence came in 1948, but peace would be slow in coming. In 1983, a civil war broke out between the government and the separatist group Tamil Tigers. 26 years of conflict followed, ending only in 2009, leaving scars that remain to this day. Even so, Sri Lanka has also had its moments of glory. In 1960, for example, the world saw something unprecedented. The first woman elected head of government, Sirimavo Bandaranaike, took office and made history. With so many twists and turns, it's easy to understand why Sri Lanka is a place of contrasts between the ancient and the modern, faith and violence, chaos and beauty. And now that we've gone through this troubled past, it's time to discover the most enchanting aspects of this island. Number 3. Tourist attractions and landscapes. Sri Lanka is a feast for the eyes. Few countries offer such diversity in such a small space. Golden beaches, tropical forests, mountains covered with tea plantations, all in a very small area. And the most curious thing? Every corner seems to tell a different story. In the dry lands of the north are some of the most impressive ancient cities in the world. In Polonnaruwa, the ruins tell the story of an empire that was once great. Sigiriya, with its famous Lion Rock, blends legend and archaeology atop an imposing rock. Dambulla is home to Buddhist caves decorated with ancient statues, while Anuradhapura has dagobas and temples that are World Heritage Sites. In the central region, Kandy stands out not only for its beauty, but also for its symbolism. It is home to the Temple of the Tooth, a sacred place, pilgrimage site, and source of national pride. And if you head south, don't miss Gale, a city with Dutch colonial walls, a seaside lighthouse, and an unforgettable sunset. Nature also shines brightly there. Yala National Park is home to leopards, elephants, and buffalo. The mountains of Nuwara Elaya look like something out of a fairy tale, with tea plantations climbing up the hillsides. Horton Plains, with its trail to the end of the world, and the Sinharaja Forest, with its rare birds, are a treat for those who love the wild side of the planet. And to top it all off, of course, there are the beaches. Arugam Bay attracts surfers from all over the world. Marissa, Unawatuna, and Bentota enchant families and couples with their warm, calm waters. In short, it's almost impossible not to fall in love. Number 4. Population and languages. In addition to the incredible scenery, what makes the trip even more special are the people who live in this paradise. Sri Lanka has just over 20 million inhabitants, and diversity is a fundamental part of its identity. The country is a veritable cultural patchwork, stitched together by peoples with very different origins, languages, and beliefs. The majority of the population is made up of Sinhalese, who represent about 74% of the inhabitants. They are of Indo-Aryan origin, speak Sinhalese, and are mostly Buddhist. The Tamils, who came from southern India and make up about 12% of the population, speak Tamil and practice Hinduism. There are also Muslims, known as Moors or Malayalis, who make up around 7% and live mainly in the northern and eastern coastal regions. In addition, there are the Burghers, descendants of European colonizers, and even a small indigenous group called the Vedas, who maintain their own customs to this day. In practice, this makes the country a true linguistic and cultural melting pot. The official languages are Sinhalese and Tamil, but English is also widely used, especially in urban areas, commerce, and education. About 10% of the population speaks English fluently, and this plurality is not only reflected in speech, but also in faith. Because in Sri Lanka, religion is serious business, and that's what we're going to talk about now. Number 5. Religions and cultural symbols. Religion in Sri Lanka goes far beyond faith. It is present in everyday life, on the streets, at parties, and even in the way people greet each other. The country is predominantly Buddhist, and you only need to walk a little to see this in the temples scattered everywhere. The best known is the Temple of the Tooth Relic in Kandy, which houses a sacred relic. But places like Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa also impress with their ancient temples and monuments that seem frozen in time. In addition to Buddhism, other religions also have a place there. Hinduism, Islam, and Christianity are present in various regions, each with its own traditions, temples, and celebrations. Now that we've seen this more symbolic side, let's talk about food, because Sri Lanka's cuisine also has a lot of history to tell. Number 6. Gastronomy. Something no one forgets after visiting Sri Lanka is the taste of the food. And when we say taste, you can imagine, it's an explosion of flavor from start to finish. The basis of almost every meal is simple: white rice with a generous serving of curry. But this curry is not just one. There are several, with different flavors, prepared with coconut milk and a powerful blend of spices. It can be chicken, fish, meat, seafood, or just vegetables. And everything is well seasoned with cumin, cloves, cinnamon, and of course, pepper. In fact, the cinnamon here is special. For centuries, Sri Lanka was one of the largest exporters of this spice in the world. And it goes into everything, from savory to sweet dishes. But the menu doesn't stop there. There's also the famous kotu roti, a noisy mixture, literally because the chefs cut everything with metal spatulas, of roti-style bread with vegetables, eggs, and curry, or hoppers, which look like bowl-shaped pancakes served with a spicy sauce or an egg in the middle. Coconut water is a constant companion, and the curious thing is that many people there don't even chill the drink. They drink it straight from the coconut, believing it to be healthier that way. Number 7. Table manners and social habits. When it comes to eating, Sri Lanka shows its South Asian influence. It is common to eat with your hands, especially the right hand when the dish is rice and curry. Locals usually leave cutlery available, but the traditional way is to scrape everything off the plate using the rice itself or a piece of local bread. When offered food or drink, it is polite to accept, even if you only take a small portion. If you refuse, it may be seen as rude. If you are invited to a Sri Lankan's home, it is customary to bring a small gift as a token of appreciation. Traditional options include fruit, sweets, or flowers. Always present the gift with both hands as a sign of respect. Speaking of etiquette, we cannot forget about clothing and family celebrations, including weddings, which are very lively in Sri Lanka. Number 8. Rules of etiquette, dress, and family traditions. If there is one thing that defines the people of Sri Lanka, it is respect. Whether it is for their elders, the gods, or traditions, everything there has a right way of being done. And that starts with the way you dress. When it comes to clothing, the golden rule is modesty. When visiting Buddhist or Hindu temples, it is mandatory to remove your shoes before entering and wear modest clothing. Shoulders should be covered, skirts should be below the knees, and if possible, light-colored or white clothing should be worn, especially during religious ceremonies. And don't think it's just a formality. This shows reverence for sacred spaces and is taken very seriously. When greeting someone, do not shake hands directly. The traditional gesture is to place your palms together in front of your chest and say Ayubawan in Sinhalese or Vanakkam in Tamil. Both mean something like, "May you have a long life," similar to the Indian Namaste. Titles also carry weight. Addressing someone as Sir, Doctor, or another term of respect is a sign of good manners, especially with older people or strangers. And if you visit someone's home, the protocol is to greet the oldest person first. In some regions, it is even common to gently touch the feet of elders as the ultimate sign of reverence. Kisses, hugs, and public displays of affection only among very close family members. In general, a smile, a nod, or the traditional ayubawan are enough to show friendliness. And in family traditions, weddings take center stage. Forget quick and discreet ceremonies. In Sri Lanka, marriage is a collective event that lasts for days. Brides usually wear Kandyan saris rich in gold embroidery, and each community has its own rituals. In Buddhist ceremonies, for example, it is common to see the couple taking their vows on a decorated platform called a porua. There is dancing, feasting, music, and partying galore, and expect no less than hundreds of guests. Those who are invited may set aside 3 or 4 days just to attend the entire program. In short, Sri Lanka doesn't skimp on the festivities, but it's not all sunshine and roses. Let's take a look at the urban side of the country. Number 9. Urban issues, dirt on the beaches and streets. Paradise also has its problems, and in the case of Sri Lanka, trash is one of them. Despite the breathtaking scenery, dirt on the streets and beaches is a constant challenge. The combination of irregular disposal and lack of collection infrastructure creates scenes that contrast with the country's natural beauty. Plastic, bottles, bags, and even broken appliances are not a rare sight, especially in large cities or poorer areas. And it's not just the appearance that suffers. A study from 2019 showed that 60% of the sand on the southern beaches of the island contained microplastics, and in the water that number rose to 70%. In other words, that crystal clear beach may hide invisible particles that threaten marine life and, of course, human health. Even in tourist spots, such as parks and squares, plastic bags and disposable cups are common. Of course, there are occasional cleanup and volunteer initiatives, but the problem is still structural. On the other hand, the country has been trying to react. In 2024, the government launched the Clean Sri Lanka program, with the goal of making the island the cleanest in Asia. The idea is to involve local communities, schools, and businesses in cleanup efforts and environmental education campaigns. It is still too early to say if it will work, but it is a start and a relief for those who love to see shells and starfish, not bottle caps and plastic bottles. Number 10. Public transportation, buses, tuk-tuks, and trains. In Sri Lanka, hitting the road is almost an event. And believe me, public transportation there is an experience in itself. The country has more than 114,000 kilometers of roads and about 1,500 kilometers of active railways. The network is not the most modern, but it works. Buses, for example, are the most common and cheapest way to get between cities and villages. And don't expect luxury. They are old acquaintances of overcrowding, loud music, and somewhat daring driving. Drivers accelerate with their right foot. That's right, they drive on the left there, and are not very fond of gentle braking. Now, if the journey is shorter or within cities, the tuk-tuk reigns supreme. It is Sri Lanka's most beloved motorized tricycle. Practical, fast, and always available on street corners, it has become a local symbol. Just be warned. Agree on the price before getting in, because meters are rare. And the trains? Trains are a chapter unto themselves. The route from Kandy to Ella, passing through tea plantations, is considered one of the most beautiful in the world. It takes hours to cross mountains, green fields, and villages with the windows open and the wind in your face, which only those who have traveled this way can understand. The comfort is basic, wooden seats and no air conditioning, but the scenery makes up for everything. It's the kind of trip you take with your cell phone in your hand and your camera on all the time. From crowded buses to noisy tuk-tuks, transportation in Sri Lanka may not be the most technological, but it certainly has personality. That's a lot, right? It's hard to imagine that such a small island can hold so much history, culture, and contrasts. But now, we want to hear from you. Which of these curiosities about Sri Lanka surprised you the most? Did you already know any of them, or did you feel like visiting? Tell us in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you don't miss any episodes of our Belo Mundo. See you at the next destination.